Your unique story, our global audience. Global One Media.
Welcome to Global One Media's exclusive one-on-one discussions with company executives sharing insights into their unique companies. I'm your host, Ashley Berry, and today, Robert Price, Chief Executive Officer of Total Helium, is joining us. The Helium Exploration, Production, and Storage Solutions Company is working to bring a stable domestic supply of helium in North America, really to help support the advancement of high-tech and space exploration industries. Total Helium is listed on the TSXV as TOH, the OTCQB in the US as TTLHF, and the Frankfurt Exchange is YO2F. Robert, welcome.
Ashley, I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me on your show.
Absolutely. Listen, this is such an exciting mission, something that I'm personally fascinated with. If you could talk a little bit about your interest in the helium industry and really what specifically helium is used for.
Yes, Ashley. Demand for helium right now is increasing, and the world is running out of helium. It's a critical and irreplaceable element. For example, the semiconductor industry uses helium in etching the chips. The space program uses helium for each launch. It's an inert gas, and so it doesn't react with any other gases. It doesn't explode. So it's used as a buffer for the hot gases and the cold gases on each launch. I find it interesting that Elon Musk, he tweets out every once in a while about helium leak here, helium leak there. Oh my gosh, the price of helium is going so high. And which emphasizes the need for helium in the space industry, but also its cooling properties are truly extraordinary. MRI machines, the magnets get very hot, so you need helium to cool them down. Nuclear reactors require helium to cool down, and we're seeing increasing demand in quantum computing.
Very interesting. And I think people don't really understand, especially what you're explaining. You know, you think about helium, and when you're talking about Elon Musk and sort of how he's saying this is critical, it's so important, we're running out of it. So what really interested you in this industry?
Well, so Ashley, much of my background has been manufacturing and oil and gas exploration. And the investment thesis for me was clear. We have engineers, geologists, land negotiators, marketing people that come from the oil and gas industry. Right now, if you have a natural gas well, the price you're receiving at the wellhead is about $3 an MCF. For helium, we receive $500 an MCF. So you really don't need massive amounts, really a lot of production on wells. You need a small production on wells. And the price is just truly extraordinary.
So you obviously saw like this imminent need. You recognized the need and that you understood that this is something so important. I understand that your company entered into a joint venture in Eastern Arizona. Maybe you can briefly describe this partnership and the significance and what exactly you're doing there and kind of lay the land for people.
Yeah, so helium, generally speaking, it's such a light element. I mean, we know from party balloons, it wants to get the heck out of the atmosphere as quick as possible. And so when you have an oil and gas field, you can trap oil and gas, and sometimes helium is trapped, but it's usually trapped in very low percentages. I'm talking less than 1% of the gas stream. The reason we chose to do this production acquisition in Arizona, people refer to this as the Saudi Arabia of helium. Why? It's because the helium percentage is 5 to 8%. It's truly unbelievable, the high percentages of helium here. And the rest of the gas stream is nitrogen. So it's there's no hydrocarbons associated with it. We chose to purchase the assets in Arizona. One of our joint venture partners is Linde. Linde is spelled Linde. They're $170, $180 billion market cap company. They've invested on our projects. And we originally acquired the land in Arizona. So we started with 2 wells, and now we have 15 wells, all producing helium. Not all producing helium. We have 7 that are currently producing. The other 8 are in phases of hooking them to the pipeline and completing them. So we have 7 wells currently producing, generating revenue for Total Helium.
Fantastic. So Total Helium right now is targeting high impact sand channels, if I understand that correctly, that are relatively shallow, as well as some deeper formations in the field there. Can you talk a little about those efforts and how they can impact the project?
Yeah, it's significant upside. So when we decided to acquire this asset, we really had 3 criteria, Ashley. The first, we wanted to acquire existing producing helium assets. The second, we wanted to be able to develop the field with low risk drilling. And lastly, we wanted great upside potential. And that's the reason we acquired the Pinta South field. Let me just mention a couple of things about the Pinta South. Our acreage, 27,000 acres, it's in between the petrified forest, a national park on one side, and on the other side is the Navajo reservation. So we have a blanket sand. It's a shallow sand, about 1,000 feet deep. So every well we drill is productive. But on top of that, you mentioned the sand channels. As we drill down to these very prolific wells on the blanket sand, we have these old riverbeds that meander through our blanket sand. If we hit one of those wells, in fact, our 2 wells that we are currently producing, in 3 years, one of the wells did 247,000 MCF at 8% helium. Ashley, to drill that well cost $220,000. So although the economics are really good for the blanket sand, as we drill, we will get into some of those sand channel wells, first of all. And second of all, we have deeper horizons that could be as prolific as the sand channel wells. So it's really exciting to be able to drill wells with really good economics and then have that great upside as well.
Yeah, I'm quickly doing the math in my head, thinking, "Wow, that's some pretty amazing revenue right there in a short amount of time for not that much of an investment." Truly, when you think about it, I like also how you mentioned about the helium balloons, and it wants to get the heck out of the atmosphere.
Yes.
I'm wondering if maybe you can just explain that a little bit more for our viewers that may not really have an understanding. You talked about the importance of helium, but I think that maybe breaking it down into layman's terms about really how important this is.
The United States Congress recently passed the CHIPS Act. The reason they spent $50 billion on onshoring semiconductor manufacturing here in the United States is because they felt that the economy was at risk. During the pandemic, if the Ford Motor Company, there's like 400, 500 chips in their trucks. They had thousands of trucks lined up without chips because of the supply of chips coming from primarily Taiwan. We get 90% of our chips from Taiwan. And if you look at the conflict between Taiwan and China, if there was any disruption in those chips come to the United States, it would be catastrophic to our overall economy. So not only did Congress put in $50 billion, there's Intel is building a plant in Ohio, Texas Instruments in Texas, Taiwan chip manufacturer in Arizona, and these plants, these make billions of dollars. So imagine for a second, you're building these and you need helium to etch your chips. And you go to the industrial gas company and say, "Hey, we're spending tens of billions of dollars. Do you have the helium?" And they say, "The world's running out of helium. There is a supply in Qatar and there is a supply in Russia. But again, their gas stream is 0.1%. Or you can say, we have a field in Arizona that they refer to again as the Saudi Arabia of helium because of high concentrations. We started with 2 wells. Now we're up to 15 wells. We will drill with our locations. We can drill over 300 wells. But Ashley, you mentioned the economics. We started again with 2. We're up to 15. We'll have be close to 30 by the end of the year. It doesn't include the sand channel wells, doesn't include the upside, and doesn't include the potential of selling helium to the spot market. Now, right now, we're receiving $500 an MCF. The spot market is up to $1,000 an MCF. So we have all this incredible upside, but by doing the math, 30 wells, that revenue generation, we have 300 locations to drill. So we'll be continuing to drill, complete, putting wells online, and working with our industrial gas partner.
Really sounds like you have locked in the prime location. Absolutely. And also, Robert, I'm so glad you brought up the CHIPS Act and really kind of breaking down the significance of all this. What does this mean for shareholders? And you're talking about the math, but also those potential shareholders, just thinking about the importance of this. And, how do you speak to them and explaining to them why they should perhaps invest in your company?
Ashley, it is very critical to have a domestic, dependable supply of helium. It's not only important for our national security, it's important for our economy. And we're doing our little part in providing that and increasing our field and drilling more. We will be generating significant revenue with just an incredible upside potential. I enjoy what I'm doing. I've built different businesses in my career, and I'm having so much fun with the upside. And in fact, after this talking with you, Ashley, I'm running to the airport. I'm going to Holbrook, Arizona. I actually fly into Albuquerque. I'll drive over, and we are drilling one of our wells for the blanket sand. And we're going to go ahead and take it a little deeper to see if we have any upside potential. So it's that type of excitement and upside potential that gets me up every morning and just love doing what I'm doing. Love working with a great people, younger group, engineers, geologists, all from the oil and gas industry that are now in the helium industry and truly making a difference.
Fantastic. Well, safe travels to you, Robert. Really a fascinating mission in such a critical space. Robert Price, Chief Executive Officer of Total Helium. Thank you so much for your time today. We look forward to sharing more about what you may find on your travels with our audience.
Thank you, Ashley.